Hello and welcome to a special edition of Sportsworld, coming to you from Sri Lanka and Galle's newly reconstructed International Cricket Stadium. Coming up, the race against time to make sure Galle is ready for its first Test match since being destroyed by the tsunami of 2004. How football reacted to an incredible story of tsunami survival in Banda Aceh. And the inside story of Muttiah Murilitharan's bid to become the highest wicket taker in Test match history. 3 years ago, the scene of devastation here in Galle was one of just thousands from across Asia that helped to put the scale of the tsunami disaster into context. One of the most beautiful cricket stadiums in the world, swept aside by nature's hand. Ever since, the future of the venue has been in doubt, but now at last, international cricket is set to return. For the players, it may just have been another practice match, but this was an important moment in the history of Galle's cricket stadium. Just 2 weeks ahead of the third test between England and Sri Lanka, this was the first match to take place on the newly laid pitch and outfield. The ground was all but washed away by the tsunami of 2004, and while these were images that resonated throughout the sporting world, the death of 30,000 Sri Lankans understandably pushed cricket to the bottom of the priority list. But now the moment everyone connected with the game had been hoping for is almost here.
You'll definitely be remembering all those people who probably would have been there to watch this match and who are not there. And the first pictures that we saw when we were in New Zealand when the tsunami happened was of Galle town, and we could see the grounds as well when it was underwater. So hopefully it's going to be a new beginning and a fresh start for a lot of the people in that area and for a lot of the kids.
I started playing cricket while I was in 12. I went to Galle Mahela College.
Former Sri Lankan international Jayananda Warnawira has played and worked at the ground all his life. He's now the man in charge of its renovation. I first met him in 2005 when plans were still on paper and the impact of the tsunami was still all too obvious. But 2 years on, Galle's iconic Dutch fort is finally to have a cricket ground for company once more. I think I remember last time you saying that you wanted to give the people of Galle the best cricket ground in the world. Do you think that's what you're giving them?
Yeah, still I haven't finished the whole thing. The ground and the pavilion, there'll be a lot of landscaping to be done. So give me another 6 months. You come back in another 6 months' time, it will be a world best ever stadium.
Not everyone is feeling the pressure, and it seems unlikely everything will be completely finished ahead of England's visit. But at least one element has been rebuilt with time to spare. In 2005, the indoor practice area still had a distinctly outdoor feel to it. Now, thanks to a $100,000 donation from an English woman whose husband died in the tsunami, it's been fully restored.
If it is a rainy day, you can play in the indoor. If you want to practice in the night, evening, so you can use this indoor. So this is a very important thing for whole southern province.
Cricket hasn't just been focusing its efforts on Galle. Just a few kilometres north is the village of Sinagama. It was badly affected by the tsunami, but has now been transformed. The project is being run by KUSHIL GUNASEKERA, who also happens to be Muttiah Murilitharan's manager. Their global contact book has resulted in rock star Brian Adams providing cash for a swimming pool and charities from across the world funding this new cricket ground.
As a young boy, I came from this village and I went to a good school in Colombo called Ananda College, and I had the opportunity and the exposure to get ahead. But I was not so studious, but each time I came to the village I saw hundreds of kids, much smarter, brighter and talented than I am, you know, and that broke my heart. So I vowed one day, long before the tsunami, that I would come back to my village and start doing the work to empower better opportunities to the disadvantaged rural children and youth. And for 7 years that was the case. But tsunami just overnight ruined everything. But never did I expect or imagine or dream that we could do something better than ever before. Yeah.
Have you done quite a lot?
Yeah, I mean, like
this wasn't the same, was it?
No, I mean, when you came in February, we were still, it was under construction, so...
It was all under construction.
Yeah.
Is it now finished?
Finished.
Yeah.
Actually,
England's MCC and Surrey cricket clubs have also invested heavily in this scheme that goes far beyond sport. Surrey raised $2 million in a day for tsunami relief, and some of that money has gone towards converting KUSHIL's tsunami-damaged house into Sinagama's new community centre. It now provides free schooling, dental and medical care to thousands of locals.
We've done nothing really other than write the cheque, but there's the people on the ground who have been so dedicated, all the coaches, and it just unlocks such a wonderful feeling for these kids to have the opportunity that they never had before.
When do we tour here again?
The England team, in common with all international sides, have lent consistent support to Sri Lankan charities, even ones that involve a spot of impromptu gardening. The emotional impact of taking Test cricket back to Galle is one that will be felt around the world.
You know, we all saw around the world what the traumatic experience of the tsunami brought to the country, and we're all right behind and looking forward to getting down there. So I've played there twice and had 2 really good games. Looking forward to seeing how the ground's been developed.
I've gone to the ground at Galle a lot since the tsunami. A school friend of mine is involved in building original buildings, so it would be a huge moment for the country, for all the people at Galle when that Test match is played.
So, Jananda, these will be the steps that the Sri Lankan batsmen will walk out on the first day of that Test match against England. How emotional is that going to be for you when the Test match finally starts here in Galle?
Actually, I have waited that moment for so many years. Now it has become a reality. So, what not, we are getting everything. So I'm very happy. I'm very proud to say now we have again playing Test cricket. So the whole down south people will waiting for that moment.
And it will be like a rebirth for Galle, do you think?
Not only rebirth for Galle, not only Galle, not only me, it's the whole southern province.
It's a rebirth that's heading somewhat perilously towards its due date, but it's one the collective goodwill of cricket appears determined to deliver. Millions of lives were affected by the Asian tsunami, and while the recent focus here has been on the reconstruction of a stadium on the island of Banda Aceh, it was an incredible story of human survival that prompted the intervention of the footballing world. Raul Pathat reports.
I was playing football in the morning when the disaster struck. I felt the earthquake and ran to my father who worked at the fish farm. It was followed by the tsunami.
Martunis and his mother fled in a pickup truck. It was chaos. The truck wouldn't move, and then it was turned upside down. Martunis asked his mother to carry his brother, but she was too weak. That was the moment when Martunis and his mother last saw one another.
December the 26th will mark the 3rd anniversary of the Asian tsunami, which saw more than 250,000 people lose their lives in one of the biggest natural disasters of all time. The worst hit country was Indonesia, with a death toll of 130,000 and a further 500,000 people displaced. Homes were destroyed, families swept apart under the force of a 25-metre wall of water that carried everything before it. Young Martunis was just 7 years old when he was swept out to sea. After 19 days at sea, wearing his treasured Portugal football shirt, he was discovered by a British film crew.
The tsunami destroyed our house. My mother and 2 brothers died. I'm sad because they're not around anymore.
Within days, the global community had united to come to the aid of the devastated region. FIFA and the Asian Football Confederation joined forces to set up the Tsunami Solidarity Fund, raising millions in the process. Devastation on this scale makes many question their priorities. Soon after the disaster, Portugal's Cristiano Ronaldo visited the area.
I remember the first time I visited the place. Everything had been destroyed. But people still had to build a new town. So we saw people rebuilding their wooden houses. It was a very tough and sensitive situation. People just wanted to go back to what they were used to. Start from scratch.
As so often, it was football that brought healing and help.
This shirt is from Cristiano Ronaldo when he visited Banda Aceh. It was a short visit, but I was really glad to see Martunis meeting big footballers such as Ronaldo. So many people, especially the young girls, wanted to meet Ronaldo, but for Martunis he felt like Ronaldo treated him like a brother.
When I met him in person and reflected on what he had gone through, it was really difficult. But over the time I spent in his company, I came to realize that he was a brave, beautiful and healthy boy.
No amount of aid or support will ever eradicate the horrors of that day back in 2004, but for Martunis, life is slowly returning to some form of normality.
I let him play football now in the afternoons. I ask him to go to school and learn to read the Quran and learn English. I want him to be a clever boy with a bright future. I don't want him to end up like me, who didn't have a proper education. I hope he gets a good job in the future. I'll be so proud if he enjoys a good life, or even becomes a professional footballer.
My favorite hobby is playing football. I didn't like the other sports. It's fun. My grandfather was a footballer. I want to be a professional footballer when I grow up.
I believe that many adults wouldn't be able to deal with what he has gone through. We must respect him. His was an act of strength and maturity. He's a special kid.
Okay, remember, you can keep up to date with all the latest sports news at our website. That's at aljazeera.net/English. But stay with us here on Sportsworld, because coming up, we'll have the story of Mutaya Muralitharan's bid to become the highest wicket taker in Test match history.